Okay, everybody, in this video, I'm going to document my personal dating experience in Brazil, as well as my dating experience in Colombia, two massively, massively different countries. Actually, I would say that Brazil as a country is more similar to America than it is to Colombia. Go figure. Okay, so here's the things we're going to talk about. I have my notes right here. We're going to talk about the English rate in each country. We're going to talk about the resentment towards foreigners or the lack of resentment towards foreigners, femininity of the women, the average attractiveness of the women in each country, the gold digger factor, the average intelligence that I found in each country, and of course, dating. So in summary, the kind of like Spark Notes version of this video, talking about dating, right? This is what you guys are here for, the dating aspect mostly. Brazil is an infinitely more difficult dating market, but it is an infinitely more rewarding dating market. So in a country like Colombia, especially a city like Medellin, the coastal cities, Barranquilla, maybe even Bogota, etc., any schlub can just buy a plane ticket, go there, get on Tinder, get on Instagram, and start meeting women. Oh, by the way, all the women that you're seeing on the screen, I meet basically 100% of my women using Instagram. I very rarely use dating apps anymore. So if you want to know exactly step-by-step how to meet women on Instagram and free yourself from using these god-awful dating apps, there's a video in the description of this video. Just click the link and I'll send you that video. Again, it's in the description of this video you're watching here. You can get that link. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So in Colombia, it's extremely easy for any normal guy to just come in the country, black, white, Asian, etc., doesn't matter, and get some really easy wins. In Brazil, that is not the case. I mean, let's just look at your competition in each country. I have my notes here. In Colombia, and you can Google this, the average height of a man in Colombia is about 5'6", 5'7" on average. The average wage is somewhere in the realm of $300 US. Almost none of them work out, lift weights, etc. And overall, they just have a very feminine affect. They have a very feminine, not very masculine vibe to them. All right, now let's compare that to Brazil. In Brazil, in contrast to what we said about the Colombian men, there are tall, jacked, good-looking guys everywhere, okay? The average height, I feel like, must be in the realm of like 5'11", 6 feet. I'm 5'10" and a half. Most guys I walk past on the street are a lot taller than me. Like I said, huge workout culture. The guys are jacked. There's an insane genetic diversity. So don't think like, oh, they've never seen an Asian guy. They've never seen a blue-eyed white guy, black guy. They've seen it all. Brazilian guys tend to be very, very masculine, and the wages they earn are orders of magnitude higher than what the average Colombian would make. You know, Rio and São Paulo are just more, well, Brazil in general is a more expensive country, but especially Rio de Janeiro, and São Paulo are very expensive places to live, and therefore a lot of the guys there make really, really good money. So overall, it's just a lot harder to be that special gringo, that foreigner that's going to slip in and be, you know, this new breath of fresh air. They're used to high value guys, high income guys, masculine, buff guys. Like I said, whereas in Colombia, you know, average guy doesn't work out, short, broke, weird feminine vibe. So it's a lot easier by contrast to kind of beat out your competition in that country versus Brazil. However, even though Brazil is a 10 times more difficult dating market, both myself and a good buddy of mine that I travel with a lot found it to be a 10 times more rewarding dating market if you can actually score one of the babes over there in Brazil. I have some notes here. So in contrast to what you would see with a girl in Colombia, and especially Medellin, most of these things, most of my dating experience is in Medellin. I'm not trying to stereotype any countries, just talking about my personal experience, what I've experienced, and some of my friends as well. So comparing Medellin specifically to Sao Paulo, Rio, the two cities I know in Brazil, a much, much, much lower rate of sex work, almost unheard of, where you meet a girl and you find out she's an OnlyFans girl or prostitute. The intellect is night and day difference. The intellectual conversations, night and day difference, obviously in favor of Brazil. The sugar daddy culture, much lower in Brazil. Just in general, girls being employed and being contributing members to society, a lot higher in Brazil. Way more likely to speak English in Brazil. Much less likely to have xenophobia, racism, or in general, a resentment towards foreigners, which if you watch one of my, I'll put the thumbnail, it'll be in the description of the video, my video on Medellin. Yeah, basically, it's kind of fucked being a foreigner there now. I would try a different city, but in Brazil, they don't have this like messed up, judgmental, racist, xenophobic, whatever you want to call it, attitude towards gringos. As a the time of me making this video, right? Things can change, right? But as the time of me making this video, they're very accepting. And actually, I think Brazil is going to stay kind of untapped and unruined by gringos, unlike other cities in Colombia like Medellin, which I'll talk about at the end of the video. The last thing I found is, even though it's very hard to get Brazilian women on dates, they can be very flaky, very, ghosty. It's a lot easier to get a woman from Medellin on a date. If you can get them out, Brazil's one of the most sexually liberated countries, and kissing and intimacy tends to happen very quickly. For better or worse, depends on, what you're looking for. So speaking of intimacy, in Medellin, Colombia, generally when I would experience physical intimacy with a woman, afterwards, I would just generally want them to leave, to get the hell out right after we finished. I mean, try having an intellectual conversation with somebody who hasn't even heard of what artificial intelligence is. They couldn't point out to where Canada is on a map. They don't know what a hexagon is. I mean, not a lot going on up here in the woman that I personally dated during my 6 or 7 years living there in Medellin, Colombia. And in Brazil, this is not the case. There's stupid people everywhere. There's stupid people in America. America's probably got one of the highest densities of stupid people on the planet. So not to say that, my culture is any better. But for my money in Brazil, my experience, generally, it wasn't like, oh, we finished, let me clean up and I want to get you the fuck out, get you an Uber. No, I actually had interesting conversation with them. They actually, had lives and experiences. They would say things more than just, ay, que lindo, ay, sí, me gusta, ay, no. Like they actually like, they didn't just like speak in like the same 10-second or the same like 10 sound bites that women from Medellin have. They have like, they say like, the same like 5 or 6 things, like all of them are kind of like carbon copies. Whereas I found the Brazilian women to just be infinitely times more interesting and provide a lot more besides just, physical intimacy to their man, but, simulating conversation, et cetera, just in general being, just better women overall, I think, in my experience at least. Okay, so that was kind of like my quick overview. Let me get into some of these other topics we talked about: femininity, average attractiveness, et cetera. We'll go one by one. So femininity, this is not even really a close one. Medellin gets the point here for femininity. In a city like São Paulo, maybe Rio to a lesser extent, you can get this a little bit of like that feminism stuff. Remember how I said how Brazil is more similar to America than it is Colombia? A bit of that feminism bullshit has penetrated into Brazil, mostly in the bigger cities. I wouldn't imagine, not that I have experience in these cities, but I wouldn't imagine in like the departamento of Manaus, which is like the rainforest, like the Amazon, or the north part Belém, or even a city like Fortaleza, kind of like the northeast, would have this kind of like, fairly strong feminist stuff. But it's definitely penetrated the big cities like Rio and Sao Paulo. But for the most part, they're extremely loving, feminine, cooperative. They're nothing like American women, so I don't want to scare you guys. But in Medellin, they just are a bit more feminine. Gold digger factor, we already talked about this 9 bajillion times higher. About 80 to 90% of the women you will date, if you're a foreigner in Medellin, Colombia, will at some point ask you for money. Ever since 2019, 2020 and beyond, it started around like the end of like 2020, 2021, whereas basically it's only a matter of time. They'll ask you, hey, my headphones broke, buy me some new headphones. Or they'll just outright ask you for money. Major percentage of them doing OnlyFans and stuff like that. I don't have a shitload of experience dating in Brazil. To be fair, I maybe come out with a 2.0 version of this updated when I get more information, but only one Brazilian girl to this day has asked me for money. And it was like some 18-year-old girl. I met her on Instagram. She asked me to like buy her address before our date. I said no, and then I blocked her. And then she found me on like one of my other Instagram accounts because I had a similar username. And she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah. I don't mean to come off that way." I still didn't go out with her, right? But I just said, hey, asking a guy to buy you something before you even met or had sex, not a good look. So it only happened once. And there's probably, gold diggers in each country, but way, 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 way fewer in Brazil. Intelligence, we talked about this. Hands down, Brazil gets the point. I just, after they're done, I just didn't want them to leave in general in Brazil. I actually had interesting conversations. Girls would say things like, oh, we should ask and see what ChatGPT thinks of that. Or they would say, I don't know, something about, the Roman Empire. I don't know, just something to show that they have a brain, that they studied, that they went to school. Whereas I said in Medellin, Very hard to have anything beyond like a super, super basic conversation with them. At least the ones that I dated over 5 years and most of my friends. I don't know if there's other intelligent ones out there. Don't want to generalize the whole country, but that's just been my experience. We talked about this also, foreigner discrimination. And I put a video about this. To be clear, there are feminine, classy, beautiful women in Medellin, Colombia that are open to dating gringos, but 99% of them won't. It's just seen as like women are very much like follow the leader, follow the pack, don't make waves, way much more so than men are. And, in an attempt to like not disappoint their families and like I said, just kind of like fit in and be a good little sheep. Most of them, they come from if they come from a wealthy, educated family, they just won't mess with a gringo. They'll just kind of like fall in line with that culture there. And we just generally have a bad rap in that city. Whereas in Brazil, there's some like, they might think like, oh, Americans can be arrogant or something like that, right? I'd rather be considered like, oh, this guy's an American, he might be arrogant than, he's for sure like a sex tourist, he does drugs, no long-term potential with him, et cetera. So there's way fewer. And, if you have any doubt of this, just get on TikTok in Medellin. TikTok's an app that, localizes based on where you are. Get on Medellin TikTok for a bit and you'll see the anti-gringo videos come around. It's a pretty hot topic.
I'm going to start off by mentioning what bothers me the most, which is these white motherfuckers from the US making videos saying that, oh my God, living in Medellin is so cheap. You should come here. You're literally fucking our economy up. Like you are, you know what I mean? That's why you're seeing these like fucking posts on the street, like these posters that say like gringos go home, because people are getting tired because you're only here. You motherfuckers are coming here to fucking do drugs, and you go to the Jettas and you know what you do? You go for little girls, underage girls that are fucking underage. You pay them for sex. So when people are like, oh my God, you're being so xenophobic. I bitch, yes, of course I am. Because you're fucking our economy up. You're fucking our youth up.
At least at the time of me making this video, maybe that changes. But as of right now, you walk around the city in Medellin, there's like signs that say like, digital nomads are the new colonizers, gringo go home, get out of my country, etc. And it's palpable, right? You feel the looks and stuff like that, that we're just generally not wanted there. Whereas in Brazil, at least at the time of making this video, they, for the most part, adore foreigners, especially foreigners who speak Portuguese like I do. They're like, wow, a foreigner that speaks Portuguese. So pretty cool. Okay, morals, values / girlfriend potential. So I'll start off by saying I have the utmost respect for Brazil and for Brazilian women. However, I will say that Brazil is one of the most liberated countries sexually, one of the most sexually liberated countries in the world. And that means that Brazilian women can tend to be quite active. They can tend to get around, if you know what I mean. Now, for the single guy who just wants to plow through a bunch of girls, that can be a good thing. Not to say there aren't, a lot of relationship quality women in Brazil. Not to say they're all easy or anything. They're not. They're sophisticated, sexy, classy. They're not easy. They're not easily impressed by you being a gringo. But it's just a Brazilian culture thing. They like to practice cardio together, right? Whereas in Colombia, 6s and 7s, sure, on the first night. But if you're dating, if you're going after like really high quality, really sexy chicks that quote unquote know their worth. I fucking hate that saying, but who quote unquote know their worth, whatever that means. They tend to make you wait, right? Like if guys, I smashed, 14 girls in 10 days. Okay, cool. Either you're giga rich, mega Chad, you're either Tristan Tate or you're fucking like 6 and 7s, right? So a quick story to emphasize this even more. I was at a bar with a friend, kind of seated in like the front patio in front of the bar where the tables were. And he was dating one of the waitresses there. And I roll up with me, my buddy, another friend. So there's 3 of us. My buddy's dating one of the waitresses there. And then the waitress comes up and says, I have 2 friends, 2 girlfriends, 2 other waitresses that think your friends are cute. This is the one that thinks, we'll just call him R. This is the one that thinks R is cute. And this is the one that thinks Casey is cute. And long story short, they were both trying to like make out with us. I actually made out with my girl. My buddy R didn't like the waitress that liked him, but it was just crazy. Like we're sitting down, having a drink there, and out of nowhere, the waitresses are grabbing us, taking around the corner to like kiss us and make out with us, right? So, for better or worse, that's Brazilian culture. Kissing is more or less like a handshake to them. It's, no big deal. Okay, so even though Colombian women are a lot less active than Brazilian women, that doesn't necessarily make them better relationship quality in general. In Brazil, I haven't gone out with a girl yet that does OnlyFans. Of the beautiful women in Medellin, like you're talking about like a 7.5 to an 8 and higher in Medellin, chances are about 50% she does OnlyFans, and probably about 80% chance she's dabbled in some form of sex work at some point in her life. So that's another thing to consider, right? Which you have a girl that, was never on OnlyFans, never had a sugar daddy, was never a sex worker, a call girl, but, she was a little bit of a promiscuous? Or would you rather have a girl who wasn't, well, maybe is less promiscuous now, but in her, but she did OnlyFans. So maybe she wasn't actually like having sex with people, but online she was, selling feet pictures and stuff like that to random guys. So it's pretty much out of control, the amount of sex work in Medellin. So, but I would say, by and large, you're looking for a girl with a low body count, more traditional values, in terms of like serving her man and stuff. Colombia would get the edge on this one. Fun, outgoing personality. The next category I want to share my personal experience on. Hands down, Brazil. I won't spend much time on this. Colombian women, it can be, for my experience at least, it was sometimes like pulling teeth. Again, I'm talking about more about Medellin women. The women from Bogota would be a lot more sophisticated. But in my experience with the girls I dated in Medellin, yeah, it was like pulling teeth. I just could not have an interesting conversation with them. Like I said, they tend to talk in like the same 5 to 7 to 10 sound bites. I know, que pecado. Like they all just say, they have the same expressions. They use the same slang, like que chimba. Like, they just, yeah, they're all just kind of like clones. And it was very hard to have an intellectual conversation with them. And they're just boring. Like I'd be on a date with a girl and I would say like, hey, can you do any like funny accents? Like, oh, I can do a New Zealand accent, even though I'm from America. Or I can talk like this. I'm like, can you do like a Mexican, like, orale way? Can you? She's like, no, I can't. You can't do any accents. Can you try? No, I can't. Okay. Let's play 2 truths and a lie. All right. Here's my 2. Here's my 3. Guess which one is the lie? Oh, I don't know. I don't want to guess. Okay. Well, just try. I guess that one's a lie. No, it was this one. All right. Now your turn. How do I play? You think of 3 things. 2 is a truth. Oh, I don't want to play this game. It's too much pressure. I'm like, okay, you want to go back to my place to have a sip of wine on the balcony? Sure, okay, do my thing and get him out, because it was just like, what else is there to talk about? What else is there to do with them? So hands down, in terms of personality, I give the edge to Brazil. Okay, the last thing I said I was going to mention in this video, this is off the top of my head, I don't have notes on this, but why I believe that Brazil will not get, gringoed out, or will not, suffer the same fate as Medellin by getting overrun by gringos. Number one, extremely competitive dating market. 99 out of 100 of these sexpat guys will, sex tourist, expat, like an expatriate. Anyway, the guys that come there, they will do horrible in the dating market. They won't get any love. They won't be able to pick up any women. So yeah, number one, very difficult dating market. Number two, a relative lack of attractive women. I talked about this, or maybe I forgot to mention this actually. Oh wow, this is important. I forgot to mention this. The average attractiveness in a city like Medellin is just out of control. The girls that pick up trash on the ground, they work at gas stations. They're like 7.5s. We have an expression in Medellin, even the ugly girls are hot, right? There's just some, weird, crazy genetics going on there where they're just like all beautiful, like practically literally all of them are just gorgeous. Whereas Brazil would kind of be more like, again, I'm talking about Rio and Sao Paulo. I can't speak on other cities, but like a Rio, Sao Paulo type thing. It'd be like being in like Kentucky or Louisiana, whereas, walking around your day-to-day, you would almost never see like a truly beautiful, attractive woman. And you would have to like go to specialized nightclubs to find them or meet them on Instagram. And again, if you want to know exactly all the women you've seen, on the screen during this video were met on Instagram. And if you want to know step-by-step how I meet these women on Instagram, there's a link in the description of this video where you just click that and I'll send you the video. But average attractiveness, definitely way higher in Medellin, and, it's very, very low in Brazil. Although they do have some of those beautiful women you've ever seen in your life. When you do find them, they can be kind of hidden and hard to find. So that's, another reason why I don't think it'll ever get overrun. Number 3, it's far out, difficult to make it to expensive flight. Number 4, it's Portuguese. A lot of these tourists that come to Colombia are guys, they're Mexicans, they're Puerto Ricans, they're Colombians. They already speak Spanish, whereas, very few people, natively speak Portuguese. Let's see what else. Oh, coming up soon, you're going to need a visa to even get there. At the time of making this video, you don't, but supposedly starting January 10th of 2024, all Americans will need a visa to come to Brazil, just like an extra little hiccup, an extra little like annoying thing you got to do. So combine all those things. Oh, and it's expensive, right? Rio and Sao Paulo at least are fucking expensive. They're not by any means, in most regards, any cheaper than the U.S. Like obviously they're cheaper than Miami, New York, L.A., but like Cincinnati or Pittsburgh, they're probably about similarly priced to a city like that. So between all those factors combined, I really don't think Brazil is ever going to get overrun. So there you have it. Again, just one man sharing his personal experience. I don't generalize anything. Your experience may vary. For the record, I don't claim, whatever to all women are a certain way. This is just literally patterns and things that I have experienced with my own two eyes. So that will do it, guys. Go to redbeardrant.net if you want to see more about how I help guys create a rockstar dating life. And follow me on Instagram. A lot of you guys watch my videos. You don't follow me on Instagram. Well, first of all, follow this channel. Like, stop what you're doing. Like the video, subscribe to the video, leave a comment, do it for the algorithm, and then get on Instagram, guys. RedbeardRants1 is my username. I give a random follower like once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever. I just have the time. But I'm always giving random followers. I'm always reaching out to them and say, hey, would you like a free evaluation of your Instagram? I can give you advice, make it more effective, kind of show you, how to find some girls in your area and, like pick your best photos, delete the bad ones that are hurting your results so that guys can have, a rockstar dating life using Instagram. Get rid of dating apps. Also remember, if you want to use Instagram like I do to meet beautiful women, the link is in the description of this video. And that is all I have to say. Hope you enjoyed Brazil versus Colombia. Maybe in the future, I'll do Argentina. I'm actually recording this video, ironically enough, in neither Brazil or Colombia. I'm in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Just a quick trip. My thoughts on it so far is it's pretty damn good, but I'll do a longer video on that in the future. Let me know what other countries you guys want to see. And I love you all very much. Peace.